What's up, people? Joe Winko here, your favorite Hawaiian guy, and here's my next episode of Joe Winko Talk. This is actually going to be a pretty personal episode of Joe Winko Talk. It won't get personal right away, but as I explain this topic that I'm going to be discussing more, it will get quite a bit personal. So, I first heard this from Based Shaman's YouTube channel. Based Shaman is a YouTuber who I watch. His videos are really awesome and he does live streams every day. So be sure to subscribe and check out his channel. But don't forget to subscribe to mine also, please. So yeah, shout out to Based Shaman. So I was shocked when I first heard of this. What happened was Chris Hansen was arrested and the charges against him have been dropped. I just want to make sure you guys are all aware of that before I describe exactly what happened here. But I have some links to the news articles. I'll have the links to those in the pinned comments also of exactly what happened. Apparently, he was being accused of writing $13,000 in bad checks for some t-shirts and some mugs that he was giving out as like Kickstarter rewards because he was trying to raise money for his To Catch a Predator show that he was going to do, because he's doing a new To Catch a Predator show. It's called Hansen versus Predator. He was raising more money for it, and they were accusing him of writing $13,000 in bad checks for some of the merchandise that he was giving out to the people who donated to his Kickstart. And I remember when I first heard of that, and I was shocked, really, but I'm going to get more into that a little bit. Like, it wasn't like the police swarmed him and arrested him. He turned himself in. That's what the article said. Later on, all the charges against him were dropped, and that's explained in the second article I have linked in the pinned comments. They said that the charges against him were dismissed because his lawyer, Philip Russell, proved to the judge that the former TV personality, Chris Hansen, had paid the money he owned, according to the Connecticut newspaper. So he already paid it. So the charges against him are dropped now. So he actually... I'm assuming that means he actually didn't write $13,000 in bad checks. And if that's true, then they owe him a big apology for accusing him of that, really. But I was thinking this whole entire time when I heard of this story and I heard that he was arrested, I was thinking that it must have been a mistake or something, really. And turns out it actually was. I'm very glad about that also, because what I noticed online is a lot of people like bash Chris Hansen, and when they heard that he got arrested, everyone was happy about it. Why are people so happy about that, really? Chris Hansen, he helps people. He helps keep bad guys and perverts off the street, really. I remember when I first started watching his show, well, I remember first hearing about it when it first came out. I wasn't really into it that much. I never really paid it any attention back when it first came out, because I was just a kid back then. But back when I was 11 years old, and I talked about this in some of my older YouTube videos, I don't really want to get too far into detail on this. This is where things get personal, because I already have earlier in my other videos. I was harmed really badly by someone I met online, and I did report it to the police, but the police kind of blamed me for it, even though I was only 11 years old. This was back in 2007 when I was living in Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a really fucked up state. That's another reason why I hate that state so much, just letting you all know, not just because of the cold weather. When I first saw To Catch a Predator after that whole incident happened, I was kind of angry about it because, like, I wasn't angry that the guys were getting in trouble, because I'm glad they were getting in trouble, and I'm glad they were getting busted, and I was glad they were going to jail and everything. But I just remember thinking that whole entire time, when I saw the SWAT teams arresting those guys, I was thinking, where was my SWAT team when I was harmed by that creeper I met online a long time ago? And I was really mad because these police in To Catch a Predator, they actually care about busting the predators and everything. But when it happened to me in real life, the cops basically blamed it all on me, really. And I was really upset about that. But over time, as I kept watching To Catch a Predator, I actually always appreciated the show, really, because I was glad that Chris Hansen was working to keep the creepers off the streets and working to expose them and get them off the streets and get people out of harm's way. And just in case you're all wondering, the time when I was harmed online, it wasn't quite the same thing that the predators on To Catch a Predator were looking for. Mine was more like I was attacked and beat up really bad back when I was a kid by one crazy person online. It's a long story, but that was basically what happened. But the cops still said it was my fault for talking to strangers online, even though I was only 11 years old, so I was really pissed off about that. But that's in the past now. But another thing, too, was that I was worried about Chris Hansen when I heard that he got arrested, and I felt really bad and really sorry for him. And the good thing is, a lot of people were coming to support him, too. They were starting GoFundMes for Chris Hansen, and that was funny because that was one thing that my autism mind came up with. Let's start a GoFundMe for him so he could get out of trouble and so he can launch his show and everything, because it really all is for a good cause, like busting people out there who are trying to harm other people. I'm really happy that the charges against him were dropped, and I really hope his new show goes good. It's called Hansen vs. Predator, and so far there's been 2 episodes that I know of. One that was filmed in the state of Connecticut, and another that was filmed in Georgia. The one that was filmed in Georgia, I don't think they put the whole episode online. I think they only have it for like subscribers only. You have to pay for it or something, which I think is kind of weird, really, because they should just put it on YouTube. Like, they would get revenue from the ads that play on YouTube, because almost every video has ads nowadays. At least it's still going on. I'm glad they're doing sting operations and investigations like this, because someone has to do it, really, if there's sick people out there. The original show, To Catch a Predator, it started in 2004, but then it was canceled in 2007. The reason why it was canceled is because while they were doing a sting operation in Murphy, Texas, a district attorney got caught up in that. Like, he was talking to one of the decoys online and was sending him inappropriate pictures. He didn't come and meet the decoy, but the SWAT team showed up at his house, and when they did, he committed suicide by shooting himself in the head. That's when they were doing their Murphy, Texas investigation. And a lot of people actually think that that was the last episode of To Catch a Predator, but it really wasn't. That was a major reason why the show got canceled, but it wasn't canceled right away after that, because they really did more investigations after that. Let me explain it to you guys real quick. Let me make a little timeline to show you guys. So, going back, the first episode of the original To Catch a Predator series was filmed in Bethpage, Long Island, New York in November of 2004. That's when the first sting operation was conducted. Now, there were more sting operations in between then and then, but those aren't really important, so I'm only going to mention the major ones. The one that the district attorney committed suicide on, that was in Murphy, Texas, as I said earlier. That investigation was conducted in November of 2006. That's when it was filmed, and that's when all that crazy stuff happened. And that aired on TV on February 13th of 2007 and on February 20th of 2007. That's when that investigation aired. And that wasn't the last one. The next one was my favorite episode. The next one was Flagler Beach, Florida. That sting operation was conducted in December of 2006. and it was filmed in December of 2006. That's when all the guys got arrested for trying to hook up with the decoy who they thought was an underage girl. And that aired on February 27th of 2007 and March 6th of 2007. And that was actually my favorite episode of To Catch a Predator because it was filmed in Florida. It wasn't the first episode to be filmed in Florida, but it was filmed in Florida, and I really love Florida. And also, another thing, the decoy from that episode, from the Flagler Beach episode of To Catch a Predator, she reminded me so much of Hannah Montana for some reason, but that's my autism mind for you guys. I'm not sure if anyone else thought that at all, but if you did, make sure to mention it in the comments. Okay, so getting back to the timeline, there were actually 3 more investigations after the Murphy, Texas suicide incident during that investigation. So after Flagler Beach was Ocean County, New Jersey. That was done in April of 2007, and it aired on July 19th and July 25th of 2007. And another thing about that investigation was it was the first appearance of the decoy actress Casey Morrow or Muro. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce her name, but if she's watching this, forgive me if I'm pronouncing that wrong. That was her first appearance on To Catch a Predator. She was the decoy during that sting operation, and she also was the decoy in the next sting operation for the original To Catch a Predator series, and the last sting operation done for the original To Catch a Predator series, which was Bowling Green, Kentucky, which was conducted in October of 2007, and it aired on December 28th of 2007. And that was also Based Shaman's favorite episode of To Catch a Predator. And it was also my second favorite, too. Because Kentucky also has the Waverly Hills Sanitarium, so that was another reason why it was my favorite. And it also has Interstate 65. That's the main highway that Bowling Green, Kentucky is on. But again, we're getting carried away, as we always do in my episodes of Joe Winko Talk. But overall, as I said earlier, the Flagler Beach episode of To Catch a Predator was my favorite episode of To Catch a Predator. I really liked that episode because I love Florida and I thought the beach was really beautiful, Flagler Beach. And another thing is, I actually have been to Flagler Beach, and I actually filmed a video at Flagler Beach too. I'll have a link to it in the pinned comments so you guys can watch it. I really loved Flagler Beach, Florida. I want to go back there too. It's basically a small town. Picture a country town, except on the beach. That's what I really love about Flagler Beach, and it's not too crowded either. But I would never want to live there because if a Category 5 hurricane made a direct hit, that place would be washed out. So, yeah. And speaking of that, another interesting fact, well, it's interesting and kind of sad too, honestly. The house that the investigation was done in Ocean County, New Jersey, back in 2007, that house that sting operation was done in was actually destroyed by Hurricane Sandy in year 2012. It's really sad because that was a really nice house, and it was a multi-million-dollar house, and Hurricane Sandy was a Category 2 as it made landfall in New Jersey, yet it was strong enough to wash that house away. Let me show you some before and after pictures. That's what it looked like. There's a couple pictures of it, and this is all that's there now. Yeah, it literally blew the whole entire house away. That's really sad, really. I mean, if you pay multi-million dollars for a house and it gets blown away by a Category 2 hurricane, I'd be pissed off. I'd want all my money back. I mean, damn. But the thing is, New Jersey, I'm assuming they're not quite prepared for extremely strong hurricanes. That actually freaked me out when I first heard about it because I never thought it was possible for hurricanes to occur that far north, but apparently it is. But it was really sad, too. another important thing that I wanted to say in this episode of Joe Winko Talk. I'm really glad Chris Hansen is doing To Catch a Predator again, or Hansen versus Predator, that's what he's calling it now. But he seriously needs to do another sting operation in Florida, the west coast of Florida, where I live, because let me tell you guys this right now, Florida is a beautiful state, but there's a lot of bad people living here. Like, a lot of really disgusting bad people living here. Not all the people living here are bad. You guys know who you are, the ones who aren't bad, but there's a lot of sick people here living in Florida. And I really want Chris Hansen to come down to the west coast of Florida and to do a sting operation here and do an episode of Hansen versus Predator here, because I seriously think he needs to. I remember when my adoptive parents first dropped me off to live in Florida back in October of 2017. I was 21 years old at the time, and it was within the first week I was here. I met one friend who I thought was a friend on an app, and we were hanging out at the beach and everything, and then we went back to his house, and he ended up trying to sexually assault me while I was having a hypoglycemic episode. I also have footage of me having a hypoglycemic episode if you guys seriously want to know what goes on with me while I'm having a diabetes hypoglycemic episode. But he tried sexually assaulting me while I was having a hypoglycemic episode, but I was able to fight him off because this guy was, if you guys seriously want to know, I'm 6'3". This guy was like 5'6", 5'7", so I was easily able to fight him off. But it still was not a good situation, really. It was really bad, and that's the reason why I've been so defensive the whole entire time I moved here, ever since that happened, because that happened within the first week. And, in all honesty, that's actually not the only time something like that has happened to me down here, because other stuff like that happened too, which is why I want Chris Hansen to come to the west coast of Florida and do a sting operation, because if someone's sick enough to do stuff like that, they're definitely sick enough to be busted on an episode of To Catch a Predator of Chris Hansen, and I really, really, really want him to come down here. He should. Really. So, if you guys could contact Chris Hansen, or if we could figure out a way to contact Chris Hansen and ask him to do an episode of Hansen versus Predator down on the west coast of Florida, that'd be really nice. He actually already did do an episode of To Catch a Predator in the west coast of Florida in Fort Myers back in May of 2006. But that was a really long time ago. He needs to come down here and do another one. Seriously. So yeah. So that's basically it. What did you guys think of what happened in everything? And what do you think of Chris Hansen? What was your favorite episode of To Catch a Predator? And where do you think Chris Hansen should do another episode of Hansen versus Predator next? Let me know in the comments and let's start a conversation about it. Also, make sure to watch my video I did of me exploring Pasco County, Florida. That was a video I filmed earlier this month. It was a lot of fun. I love Pasco County, Florida. I don't actually live in Pasco County, but I wanted to do a video there because it's a really cool place to go visit and everything. I'll have a link to that in the pinned comment as well. And speaking of hurricanes, I also did a series of videos of me riding out Hurricane Michael in Valdosta, Georgia last October. I did 4 different videos because it was while I was on a road trip. So make sure to check all those out too. I'll have the link to those in the pinned comments. And yeah, it was scary, really. It wasn't too bad, but it was kind of scary because I never done anything like that before. So that's basically it for this episode of Joe Winko Talk. I hope you guys all liked it. So don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. So that's it. Peace out, people.